Welcome to Uffsides, the only NFL show on the internet. Once again, I am Matt Ufford, your host. With me today is part of the Giants broadcast team,
That's right.
host at NBC Sports Radio, and one of my favorite people to talk to about the NFL, Anita Marks.
I love it. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Welcome. Today we're talking about the National Football Conference, a special preview show. Now, this is the home of the young mobile quarterback. You've got Robert Griffin III,
Right.
Russell Wilson, and Colin Kaepernick all led their teams to the playoffs in their first year as a starter. Which do you see having the best 2013?
All right, right off the bat, Colin Kaepernick, and a big reason. A lot of people I don't think realize, because he didn't play his first year in the league. This is his third season. With Russell Wilson and, of course, RG3, this is their second year, and everybody's worried about the sophomore slump.
Yeah.
I'm a believer in that. Also, keep in mind, defensive coordinators this season, Matt, really spent a lot of time trying to learn how to stop this read option offense. Mm-hmm. So I think RG3, you got to worry about his health. Russell Wilson as well, and we hear about his work ethic every day. But I think it's going to be an uphill battle for all three of these guys. But I think the experience with Colin Kaepernick. Also, how about this? Eric Mangini is now a part of the San Francisco 49ers offense. Believe it or not, they hired him to come in and to kind of watch and train and learn and teach the San Francisco 49er players on offense how to counter what he thinks is going to happen on the defensive side of the ball this season. So there's I know.
So they brought a defensive expert in to coach the offense.
Brilliant.
So
is that not brilliant?
Wheels within wheels.
Exactly. So for me, out of those three guys, my money's on Colin Kaepernick. I think all three of them will struggle this year, but I think Colin Kaepernick will have the better season out of all three.
Interesting. Now, as we look at the season as a whole, I want to take a look back on the offseason, biggest stories of the offseason. One of the things that I always come back to is the coaching carousel. So there are a lot more new coaches in the AFC. In the NFC, we've just got Bruce Arians in Arizona. Chip Kelly in Philadelphia is probably the biggest newsmaker. And then Sean Payton returns to New Orleans after his year in the desert, thanks to Roger Goodell bringing the hammer down. So take these guys one at a time. With I think that I would say that Chip Kelly, the innovator from Oregon, is the biggest story. What are your expectations for the Eagles? What's the ceiling for them?
There's so many question marks. I mean, I think that there's so much anticipation about them regular season game one against the Washington Redskins, because let's face it, you really don't show all your hand. You don't really show all your cards in preseason. How is this Oregon high-octane offense going to establish itself and have success in the NFL? How are defenses going to go up against them? It's exciting, and so I think more than anything, I think there's a lot of anticipation about what is it going to do? How is this offense going to be successful? But you know what I love? I love hearing Michael Vick and Deshaun Jackson and these guys say that they are in love with the game of football again because of Chip Kelly. Because when you talk to a number of NFL players, Matt, they say, listen, it's become work. It's no longer a game. It's no longer fun. It's work.
Sure.
And now we're hearing something different. We're hearing like, hey, this head coach is really giving us a newfound life and excitement in the game we play, and I think we're going to see that on the field.
I think we're definitely going to see it on the offensive side of the ball. If you look back at 2012, the Patriots led the league in offensive plays per game at 74. A good 8 to 10 plays per game ahead of the rest of the league. First preseason game for the Eagles, I believe they ran 82 plays, offensive plays. And that's just the first preseason game, just trying some new things out. We're going to see, I think that the offense is going to score points. If you are a fantasy football guy or lady, draft Eagles and you're going to be happy. Our last coach on the new coaches carousel, or returning coaches carousel, Bruce Arians in Arizona. This is a team that on paper looks better, but then so does the rest of the NFC West, which was arguably the toughest division in football last year. And it feels like everybody got better over the offseason. And again, Seahawks fan here, so totally accidental color scheme here.
Right.
Kid Cardigan didn't plan this out.
Mm-hmm. So you had that laid out at 8 p.m. last night.
Maybe, no, but so. Am I skewed? It seems to me that the NFC is centered around this Seahawks-Niners rivalry. Is there anything that Bruce Arians can even? What's a good year for the Cardinals? 6-10, 8-8.
Maybe.
Like what's?
I'm not. I'm excited for Carson Palmer. I'm excited for Larry Fitzgerald. Let me tell you something. I've participated in 6 fantasy football drafts already, and Larry Fitzgerald, I'm getting him in the 3rd or 4th round.
That's bananas. He's going to be great.
But why? Exactly. But why? Why is that? Because what have you done for me lately? He hasn't done much. Now he has Bruce Arians. He has Carson Palmer. He's got a legitimate quarterback, and he's got Malcolm Floyd playing opposite of him, coming into his 2nd year. I think Floyd's going to have a magnificent year.
Michael Floyd.
Malcolm
Floyd is already injured yet again.
I know. So Michael Floyd, I think that he's going to have a phenomenal year. So I think things are going to really open up for this offense. And you hope that Mendenhall is healthy. Yeah, fingers crossed if you did draft him. But nonetheless, how good the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks are going to be, Matt.
Fingers crossed on that too.
I don't think you have to cross your fingers.
Okay.
I don't think anybody else in that division, and with all due respect to the Rams as well, I just don't think anyone's going to be able to compete with them. So
I certainly hope not, as a fan of the Seahawks. Listen, we're going to go into in-depth division previews right now. You stick around for some NFC playoff predictions?
I'm here as long as you need me.
Whew, all right. Welcome to the NFC East 2013 preview, where no team is dominant, no team's all that bad. Any team can finish with 6 wins or 10 wins, depending on roll of the dice. Don't recommend gambling on this division, but if you must, here's where I'd place my bets. The division champion Redskins are essentially the same team they were in 2012, plus Brian Orakpo back from a torn pec, and Robert Griffin III's repaired knee. There's no reason to think that they can't get to 10 wins again, which is exactly why they won't. That's just how the NFC East works. Don't ask questions. I see them getting under 8.5 wins. As for the Giants, the vaunted defense is a myth. The 2012 team finished 31st in yards allowed and 22nd in quarterback sacks, and that was before O.C. Umenyiora left for Atlanta. Oh, and the offensive line, completely decimated by injury. This is not a playoff team. Go ahead and take the under on 9 wins. So if the Redskins and Giants are moving down, who's moving up? The Dallas Cowboys. I know. We all expect Tony Romo to throw a back-breaking interception in week 16 or 17 to submarine the Cowboys' playoff hopes, but I think this is the year that Tony Romo finally doesn't choke. Until the playoffs. Go ahead and take the over on 8.5 wins. Division champs. The Chip Kelly Eagles will be a lot more fun than the 2012 team that got just 4 wins. But are they good enough to be 500? I don't know about that. I love the offense. They're going to put up points. But I don't think they're 4 wins better in the first year of having a 3-4 defense. Welcome to the NFC South 2013 preview, where defense is optional. Your division champs are the Atlanta Falcons, who replaced the corpse of Michael Turner with the slightly more alive Steven Jackson. Desmond Trufant and O.C. Umenyiora replaced lost parts on defense, so the shaky D should be largely the same. And I think the results for the team should be as well. Over 10 wins, a division championship, and a playoff loss before the Super Bowl. Womp womp. The Carolina Panthers shored up the interior defensive line through the draft, so the defense should be better. But this is a team that simply has too much money tied up in 2 big contracts for running backs it doesn't need or use effectively. 7.5 wins sounds about right, but I'll roll the dice and say over. Who dat? It's the New Orleans Saints, ready to disappoint you in 2013. Drew Brees' left tackle departed for Chicago. The worst defense in NFL history just lost linebacker Will Smith for the year to a torn ACL. I have a very hard time seeing how on earth this team could possibly get 10 wins. Now I'll take the under. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers signed Darrelle Revis and Deshaun Goldson. That should shore up the worst passing defense in the league. But how much do you really expect from Josh Freeman and Greg Schiano? Do you want to bet on them overperforming Vegas' expectations? Nah, no thanks. I'll take the under. There's your NFC South. Plenty of offensive firepower, but if you're hoping for defense in the American South, stick to watching the SEC. Quick and dirty NFC North 2013 preview through the lens of predicted win totals. Start things off with reigning division champion Packers. Have maybe the best quarterback in the game and absolutely nobody to protect him. Aaron Rodgers was sacked a league worst 51 times last year. For context, that's more than Phillip Rivers. And that was with a healthy Brian Bulaga at left tackle. With Bulaga out with a torn ACL, Rodgers' blind spot will be protected by a rookie drafted in the 4th round. I think they take a step back this year, under 10.5 wins. On to the Vikings. Of the 6 running backs before Adrian Peterson to rush for 2,000 yards in a season, none of them gained even 1,500 yards the following season. Purple Jesus comes down to earth, the quarterback is still Christian Ponder, and this team finishes under 7.5 wins. Chicago finished 10-6 but missed the playoffs because A, life's not fair, and B, Lovie Smith's patented late season swoon. The Bears signed left tackle Jermon Bushrod away from New Orleans, so for the first time in 4 years, Jay Cutler, in a contract year, should have some time to throw. With the addition of Martellus Bennett at tight end and Alshon Jeffrey emerging as a threat opposite Brandon Marshall, the Bears should finally have an offense to match their fearsome D. Over 8.5 wins. I think they're a playoff team. Detroit Rock City. 2 years ago, the Lions caught some breaks and were a playoff team. Last year, they caught none. 9 of their 12 losses were by a single score. I see things normalizing in 2013, with the Lions being a solid but unspectacular team. I'll take over 7.5 wins. And now for your 2013 NFC West preview, where everyone got better, so not much will change. At 11-4-1, the 49ers won 11.5 games last year, and that's their over-under baseline for this year. Injuries to Mario Manningham and Michael Crabtree leave them too thin at wide receiver for too long. I'll take the under. Still a good team, though. The Seahawks are a fashionable Super Bowl pick this year thanks to a terrific 2012 and a busy offseason. But a tough schedule that includes 5 road games with 10 a.m. Pacific kickoffs could provide more speed bumps than you expect. I'll take them over 10.5 wins, but just barely. St. Louis Rams, 7-8-1 last year. Awesome defense, and everyone's excited about Tavon Austin. But what other offensive weapons do they have? Chris Givens, Brian Quick, Daryl Richardson? If everything bounces their way, they could challenge for the playoffs. But this looks like an 8-8 team to me. I say a hair over 7.5 wins. And the Arizona Cardinals. Arizona somehow won 5 games despite the worst quarterback play of any team in 2012. That will improve with Carson Palmer, a warm body who can actually get the ball to Larry Fitzgerald. But how much can you improve in the toughest division in football? I'll say over 5.5 wins, but not many of them coming from within the NFC West. Now let's go back to the desk with Anita Marks for some bold playoff predictions. Note, predictions only moderately bold. We are back at the desk with Anita Marks talking NFC playoff predictions for the year 2013. Anita, talking about the AFC, I had a hard time figuring out 6 teams that were good enough to be in the playoffs. With the NFC, it seems so much more competitive. I have a hard time figuring out 5 or 6 teams that couldn't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So let's hash this out. What are your 6 teams that are going to be still playing at the end of December?
All right, so let's start with the East.
Okay.
Okay, and I work for the New York Football Giants, so I know I'm gonna get a lot of slack for this.
Okay.
I'm gonna get a lot of heat.
Okay.
Okay, and that is I think the Washington Redskins are actually gonna win this division. I think I do, but there's a big if here. The if is if RG3 can stay healthy.
Yeah,
I know
that's a capital I.
I know it's a big if, and I think it's going to be competitive between the Washington Redskins and the Giants. I like Dallas, suspect with their offensive line, and Tony Romo just doesn't do it for me.
No.
And with the Philadelphia Eagles, I think that there's just a lot of question marks about Chip Kelly's system and Michael Vick again staying healthy. So for me, it's the Washington Redskins. I think they win that division.
What about the NFC South?
All right, so the South, it's Atlanta. Look, I'm a big Steven Jackson fan, and the fact that he came over from the Rams, I think that, granted, yes, I think their running attack gets considerably a lot better. No offense to Michael Turner.
Oh,
but
I'm happily offending Michael Turner. He was awful.
I just don't want to be too mean. But how I see the Atlanta Falcons utilizing Steven Jackson in the passing game is going to be tremendous. So especially in screen situations. Yeah. So I think their offense, if their offense couldn't get any better, it just has.
Yeah.
So I really like Atlanta. I think Atlanta's going to win. But again, the New Orleans Saints with Sean Payton back and Drew Brees, and I think Jimmy Graham's going to have a big year. And they've got a lot of young, exciting new talent on that offense, on the wide receiving core. Rob Ryan now is there trying to help this defense at least be better than the worst in the NFL.
Okay.
So I think New Orleans is going to be in it. I look at New Orleans as a wild card, but I think Atlanta wins that division.
Let's go to the NFC North. Who you got winning the division?
All right, the North, I have Green Bay. You love Aaron Rodgers. You love what he can do. Jermichael Finley, from what I understand.
Contract year.
Yeah.
Disappointing every single year, but he's out to get paid.
You have to pay attention to guys who are in a contract year.
Yeah.
You absolutely do. So I'm hearing great chemistry between them. I think Randall Cobb's going to be an unbelievable guy. And then I have all this young, exciting talent in the backfield that I think they're finally going to imagine a game where the Green Bay Packers are going to put up like a ton of points, and then at the start of the fourth quarter, they're just going to pound you to death with their running attack because they're already up. They're going to eat up the clock. They're going to take as much time off the clock as they want, and they've got Eddie Lacy, they've got Franklin, they've got all these great backs in the backfield that are just going to like dominate the fourth quarter on the ground.
And of course, the NFC West, the vaunted NFC West.
When was the last time you actually were able to say, wow, I can't wait to watch the Seattle Seahawks play football? When was that?
It was 3 years ago. 3 years ago that the Seahawks were.
You probably say it every Sunday.
Yes, unfortunately. It's a sad, sad life that I live.
But I'm so excited. I'm more excited for the Seattle Seahawks 49ers rivalry that's going to take place this season, more so than Green Bay and the Bears, more so than the Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers. These are, in my opinion, the two best teams in the NFL. It's amazing.
It's exciting. And let's get some arguing points going on.
Okay.
We've got my NFC playoff predictions.
Brace yourself.
Right there.
That was really cool.
Yeah, it would have been better if my snap actually made noise. There we go.
There you go.
As you can see, I've actually got the Cowboys coming out of the NFC East.
Really?
I think that really more than anything, it's a roll of the dice. Tony Romo, I think that he's got a terrible reputation, for good reason, mind you, but it's because he's always trying to do too much. I think that
72 sacks in the past 2 years, and that offensive line has not gotten better. So that doesn't concern you. Des Bryant's there to save the day.
What doesn't concern me is the rest of the NFC East. I just think it really comes down to a roll of the dice.
Okay.
It doesn't really matter, though, because whoever the NFC comes out of the NFC East, which any of the four teams, they're getting steamrolled by the number 5 seed San Francisco 49ers in the first round anyway.
Okay, so we're in agreement there with the San Francisco 49ers.
Yes, okay. They're making the playoffs. I think that we need to pump the brakes just a little bit on both the Niners and the Seahawks. I think that both teams will take a slight step back from last year. Still going to both be playoff teams, but not as terrific as we expected them. Also, wild card weekend, Falcons over the Packers. Moving on to the division round, we've got the Seahawks at home avenge their loss to the Falcons.
Look at you. There's a huge smile on your face.
This is all like self-interest. This is totally self-interest.
I see
and then I see the Bears as the 1 seed out of the, and I'm doing this because
what is it about the Bears?
Jay Cutler in a contract year. Here's what I want to see: redemption stories. Tony Romo, redemption story. Jay Cutler, he gets to smile finally.
Interesting.
Yeah, the Bears still have a fantastic defense, even with the retirement of Brian Urlacher. I see the Bears as the 1 seed, and here's the thing. As a Seahawks fan,
1 seed.
I cannot pick the Seahawks to go to the Super Bowl. My conscience will not let me do that.
You can. You're just worried about what everybody's
Too
going to say
many years
about
on this earth have shown me that the Seahawks will find ways to lose, and I don't want to. I'm doing them the favor of not picking them for the Super Bowl.
Are you being a negative Nelly right now?
That's my entire career,
Let's
Anita.
hope that your Seahawks fans aren't watching.
You know what? If I do, then if I'm wrong and they win the Super Bowl, guess who wins? This guy right here.
Yeah, you
I
do.
will happily be wrong about that. And I'm not picking the Niners to beat the Seahawks either because, again, I can't do that.
Let me ask you this. Seattle, do they lose 1 game at home this year?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
If they do, might be week 2. Niners come to town for Sunday Night Football.
You know, they're trying, I guess the Seattle Seahawks fans, they invited, Guinness Book of World Records to come there for the decimal because they want, yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
That's
I think
listen, that's tough. That is difficult if you're an opponent and you're there and you're in Seattle to call plays, audible, in that type of environment. It is the 12th man.
They're so good. They're the 12th and the 13th man.
Exactly.
They get 2 extra men.
Thank you.
Just from the crowd.
For saving me.
I'm good like that. All right, so there you go, folks. I think the Bears will go to the Super Bowl. I have never felt less confident about a pick.
Yeah, I don't think I would either.
What do you guys think? Let us know on the various media that you're watching this on, be it sbnation.com, be it YouTube, iTunes. Sure, why not? listen to us. Follow Anita Marks on Twitter, at Anita Marks. Check her out, NBC Sports Radio. The Giants are also a fun team to watch.
Yes.
Anita Marks, I'm Matt Ufford. We'll see you next week on Uffsides.